Mantorala annun jio diata baki. One Stop Water Solutions Limited ye filter le natal me yalonko alse muna fanganola alla pompol. Isa la jiol tenteng ya senendi coming alla fala nyame. Naketa pompoti bang abohono fo nawek la pipe wala a filter sifa o sifa. One Stop Solutions ya natalele. 10-inch filter set of 3 ya sotalele. Filter me yalonko asidiota aya tenteng natara bankole ba kono fa kenyo wala kankan be bije isa be bon. Filter fana member ko 12-inch set of 3 filter me yalonko asidiota aya dada aya senendi mense beta alla jata kendaro wo fana sotale. CTO block carbon filter wo fana mu filter timi yalonko asi chemical o bonnino jiol konole mense beta alla jata kendaya. Filter member ko CTO block carbon mensi jiola chemical o be bondi akono ruka alla jata kendaya sa hen. Nim filter sabol be kili wo kili na pansundoku na wata tankol fana sotale kabirim 500 5000 fokata 10000 liters. Plumbing fittings fana be mol bulle alsemol tarano sukuta highway Mariama Kunda Johnson wala isimol kumandi 505 5691 796 8272. One Stop Water Limited Solutions inatale ka jiku be sonende Gambia Banko.
Good morning, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and of course, the program is officially sponsored by One Stop Water Solutions for all your water dispensers, and of course, filters. They are located at Sukuta Jabang traffic lights. We are back again on another edition, and this is the Thursday edition, and coming up on our program. But I have my colleague with me first, Alusi Say.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abanda. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to share this platform with you because
why not?
I learned a lot from you. I mean,
we equally learn a lot from you as the veteran.
Yes,
veteran again.
A veteran journalist.
Veteran
journalist.
VJ.
Yes,
Thank you.
I mean, being a senior journalist too, I think I'm inspired. I mean, to be following your steps. I mean, I'm happy.
And I think
it's good to have
equally learning from you as the VJ, the veteran journalist.
Exactly. So we are back again, and of course, coming up on our program, we'll be having the African proverb as usual. And of course, it's important sometimes for us to be guided. And some of these African proverbs, this is what they do. They try to show you how to live your life and try to motivate you. Of course, some don't motivate you, of course, but many of them do. And we'll be having the newspaper review, and we have our only Mr. Ade Drame in the building, the only one, you know. There'll be no other Ade Drame, but only one Ade.
The one and only. Yes.
And of course, we'll also have on our social issues, Ibrahim Sohna, a player from the national team, will join us on this program, and we'll be discussing certain things, and it's going to be very, very interesting on what we call sports. We'll be having Momodu Gajaga, he will be here, and on the click segment we'll be having Buba Fati featuring Brikama Boyo ST. And once again, we are back. Ali.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abanda. Like you said, we'll just start with the African proverb, which reads today, the walls of the elders do not lock all the doors, they leave the right door open.
Yeah.
The walls of the elders do not lock all the doors, they leave the right door open.
You know, it's at times like this that I wish we had Geneva song for. Because since we started doing African proverbs, there has not been a single one that Geneva has claimed not to understand. Yeah. I have to hold my hand up and said, 50% of them make no sense to me at all. This is one of them. So I wish Geneva was here to demystify it for me.
Understand.
Because I haven't a clue what they mean by this. I read it when it was sent out to all of us last night. And I thought, you know what, I can come and pretend that I know what this is talking about, but I don't. So maybe you two gentlemen.
Well, I think some of these proverbs are bunkum. They are nonsense.
But they might be. But you know. But mainly they make us think. They make us think, and sometimes we try and interpret. But this one, I'll try and interpret it from what the words of the elders do not lock all the doors, they leave the right door open. Now, I'm assuming that this means that, people who have attained, ages of some of the wisdom that they've kind of picked up along the line, they pass on. So when they say about they leave the door open, so that those who come after them can learn from their wisdom, can learn from the fact that these people have attained, maturity and so on. They've reached a certain age. and they can use that knowledge to help them when they themselves grow old. That's how I interpreted it, but
well,
generally it had me
yes,
scratching my head.
I also have, I think the thing that I have in my mind right now, it's the same thing. I mean, if you say the walls of the elders do not lock all doors, they leave the right doors open. Who are they opening these doors for? They are opening it for the younger ones. When they come, they should follow their steps. I mean, we've seen in our societies whereby people will tell you this is how our forefathers used to live. So we are also following their steps. This is what our forefathers taught us. I mean, we are following these steps. I think it's the same thing. And what about you, man?
Yeah, I think for me, I also have similar understanding of this proverb. Like Mr. Ade said, I mean, even now when I read it, I struggle to understand what actually this proverb is.
Jennifer, where are you?
Trying to explain. But then, for me, I have a similar understanding of this proverb, just as you mentioned in your explanation. For me, that's how I understand it.
And what I like about the bit where it says leave the right door open, for me, it's like it's like they tell the ones coming after them, don't take our bad habits, take the good habits, take the good things that we leave you. You know, we're not perfect, we're human beings, we make mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes that we made, you know, avoid them and so on. So, you know, there are ways of interpreting it, and you know.
I hope the young ones are going to follow the right steps, I mean, because they said he who learns from another man's mistake is wise.
You see, this is another proverb he just dropped on us there.
Yeah.
That's VJ.
Yes.
That's the VJ.
No, it's the VJ
showing his VJ-ness.
No, but it's the VJ sitting here. Yeah. So, I mean, the VJ should not... the VJ, I mean, you should not be surprised. I mean...
We are totally unsurprised.
When you were giving me that title, VJ, you know, I didn't even notice.
You embraced it.
Veteran journalist.
Yes, veteran journalist. I am the only veteran journalist here.
I think you're the only one in
That's
Gambia.
why I do my stories once a year. Every year, I do stories once.
And they're always worth waiting for, I can tell you.
Interesting. Very important, Aliu. And of course, viewers, you are watching QTV this morning, wherever you're watching us from. And that was the African proverb. We'll take a short break. After the break, then we'll go straight to the newspaper review. As I said earlier, we'll be joined. We are already joined by Mr. Ade Drame, and we'll be back. I'm surprised, Ade, you have a whole lot of fans out there. I mean, people that follow Ade. No, I'm surprised. You know, I was thinking it's only entertainers that have fans, but Ade, I mean,
do you know most of these intellectuals they watch Week in Review? Do you know that?
I went.
Absolutely.
I went to the petrol station last night on my way home. I'll be quick because I know we're coming for a commercial break. And the guy who was pumping the gas said to me, "Oh, that voice very distinctive." Yeah. I said, yeah, people kept telling me I remind them of someone. I said, no, he said, the more you speak, it's Mr. Ade. Because I was wearing a mask. He said, oh my God, he said, honestly, he said, myself and my other colleagues who are at university, you are a role model. It made my day, I have to say.
No, definitely.
It was a long day, I was tired, and it was nice to hear something
several
like that.
people said to me, I mean, Ade, you know, we follow this guy, we follow Ade. But they said they like Mboj too. You know, they said they like Mboj behavior on TV, the way Mboj behaves on TV. Yes, they said they love that. Yeah. Well, viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
Welcome back. We are back, and of course, it's QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are rocking and rolling in the studios along Kairawa Avenue.
We are
QCell main office, but we're the annex, we're behind. So don't worry, QCell building is in front, so we are behind.
And you know, so many people, they still think QTV is at QCity.
Yes, still now people think like that.
I now insist when we're making an appointment with somebody, can you please tell them we are at Kairaba Avenue? Because the person turns up and we're here complaining. Why are they not here? They're late. 15 minutes after
and
the time.
you call them, we are
I'm outside your building, I'm waiting.
I think
you're not here.
Programs should create a short promo advertisement just to tell people that, you know, we are not at QCity.
We are behind QCity.
On several occasions, my guests will come and I'll tell them I'm outside. They'll say, we are outside at the main gate while they're at QCity.
So if anybody's watching, please, if you have an appointment with us, we are not at QCity. We are at Kairaba Avenue, behind the QCell building.
So we are back, and why is Alfonso standing here and looking at us? Francisco, you want to join the program? If you want to join, you're welcome.
He's come to enjoy.
Or you're standing and looking at Tres. We are back, and Ali, what do we have there?
Yes, on the Standard newspaper, we have 6 killed in failed coup in Guinea-Bissau. President says linked to drug. Mr. Adi, you've been following this story.
I have, indeed.
And TRC says Jammeh uses religion to consolidate dictatorial regime. VP Toure opens Janjambore Kankurang Festival. Judiciary braces up for legal year. And of course, one of the most controversial story as far as sports is concerned is the Gambian referee to officiate the Egypt-Cameroon game. I mean, you understand at some point Egypt protested that they didn't want Papa Gassama to officiate that match. Yes, that's what we have on the Point newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Voice newspaper. UDP to contest 53 constituencies, and in April, VP Toure and others witnessed breathtaking celebration of Janjambure Kankurang Festival. Ex-mayoral contender reads Mayor Talib Bensouda's performance in office at 2%. And of course, African Export, Import Bank launches trade show in the Gambia. Minor arrested with suspected drugs. Yes, that's what we have.
Indeed, yes.
Mr. Ade?
Some interesting stories.
Let's start with Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea-Bissau, I have a friend who is a security advisor to the president, so I was able to speak to him. He left me a long 11-minute audio yesterday. Lucky for him, he was in London when this happened, but he was able to update me. And it's really tragic. I mean, had this succeeded, this would have been Guinea-Bissau's 10th coup d'etat since 1980. If you go back to 1974, makes it 11th or 12th, had it succeeded. I mean, the country is beset by conflict. In a way, it's not surprising, because when he did his reshuffle, the president, the day before, he took away some of the ministerial positions from the Prime Minister, Nuno Nabiam, and that was quite contentious. And for it to go through, the Prime Minister had to accept. So there was a lot of argument, and it broke out. People got to hear about it. In the end, he accepted that the positions had been taken away from him and given to somebody else who is an ally of the president. What people don't understand, in Guinea-Bissau, unlike in the Gambia, you have both a president and a prime minister. And the prime minister is almost as powerful as the president. It's not just a ceremonial title. I mean, the prime minister has a lot of... but interestingly, Nabiam the prime minister was in the same cabinet meeting when the presidential palace was attacked. And the security services then tried to defend, and when they were defending them, that's when people were killed. The numbers vary depending on which newspaper you listen to. But we heard that it had failed because the president came out and gave a press conference, and there beside him at the press conference was the prime minister, other cabinet ministers. He thanked the military for keeping this thing. But what he says there about he has linked it to drugs. Since he became president, Guinea-Bissau has had the 2 biggest drug seizures in the country's history. That's significant because the country had been getting a bad name as a transit hub for drugs from South America to Africa and then on to Europe. And he wants to stop that because he knows that all the aid, all the help that you might get, you're not going to get. But some of the people who've been arrested, including some of the military people, they got warrants for their arrest internationally because they've been linked to drugs and so on. So I think that's why he said that this is probably linked to drugs. So it's an interesting one. Of course, they are our neighbor, so we have an interest. Lots of Gambians, about 10,000 Gambians living there.
Exactly.
It may be more.
A whole lot.
But the last I heard in 2019, it was
it's quite
10,000.
interesting. The second coup in 2 weeks in the sub-region from Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau. I mean, what do you think should be the new approach now towards addressing the issue of coup? Because it seems like the condemnation and the sanctions are not.
For me, it's a warning and it's a wake-up call to civilians. Because if you see there was a story on Reuters and also on Deutsche Welle, DW, where they interviewed people in these countries where coups had happened, and all of them were almost saying exactly the same thing. We're fed up of civilian politicians coming along, making promises, particularly promises about cracking down on corruption. They come into power and they don't crack down on corruption, they themselves become corrupt. We are fed up of it. And that's a message for politicians in these, civilian politicians. If you are saying you're cracking down on corruption, you have to mean it. Don't just talk about it. The people aren't fooled anymore because they see it. They see somebody who was riding a bicycle last month, now he's got a fleet of Mercedes-Benz or he's driving a Lexus. They think, hey, that's a miraculous transformation. How did that happen? So people are getting fed up, and all across. One guy they spoke to, they said was a civil servant in Burkina Faso. He kind of summed it up, and he said, we've tried democracy, we've elected politicians, they've all let us down. We need a military regime. That was quite shocking, because for me, as somebody who believes in democracy, if democracy is broken, fix it. Don't throw it in the bin. Because military dictatorships or military regimes will never be the answer. That's not their job. They're not meant to govern. They're not meant to run Ministry of Education, of Health, etc., etc. They're meant to protect the territorial integrity of every country. Any military, that is your job. Stick to your job. And leave, and just tell the politicians to behave better.
Well, for me, I do not think coup d'etats, countries like Guinea-Bissau and Guinea-Conakry very serious. The reason is that, these countries are used to this. They are prone to coup d'etat all the time, the likes of Guinea-Bissau. Yeah, so when I heard about this coup d'etat, I wasn't very surprised, because I know there will be someone at the corner who will try to do something, whether he succeeds or not.
You mean like either a counter coup or a...
there's always someone ready to do a coup d'etat. Yeah. And at the same time, I was surprised because at some point I heard that the president was arrested. At some point, the president is free, talking again. I don't know how true was that.
In Bissau?
Yes.
Oh, no, he's free and he's been talking. And
was he arrested?
Well, he wasn't arrested. Essentially, what they did was they surrounded the palace whilst the attack was going on. And then some of these people who were involved in the attack started putting out, I think they wanted to demoralize the soldiers who were not there and say, we've arrested the president. But what the soldiers who countered were saying, well, if you've arrested him, show us that you've arrested him. And they couldn't, because they hadn't. So it was all tactics. It was all playing roles. But what you say is interesting, because Guinea-Bissau, yes, we get blasé, but interestingly, when the BBC went there yesterday, people in Bissau on the streets were saying, we're fed up of this terrible reputation that we have for coups and attempted coups. The ones we're talking about, the 10, those are the ones that have succeeded. There have been about another dozen that didn't succeed. The country is seriously unstable. And people are fed up. They just want a decent life. They just want peace, like everybody else. Well,
don't you think they should have given Omar Sissoco Embalo a chance to see? Because it's like Omar Sissoco Embalo is against third term presidency. That's true. On several occasions he will say it on media that third term is coup d'etat.
That's right.
And I learned that some African leaders are starting to hate him because of that.
Yes, because he went to ECOWAS and said it. He didn't just kind of keep it to himself. He said it at and he also said it at the African Union. And of course, some of them are on their 10th term. Somebody like Museveni. Yeah, 34 years, 35 years now. Somebody like Paul Biya in Cameroon, 39 years. Cameroon in 61 years, they've only had 2 presidents. So those people hearing him say something like that, they don't like it, because, essentially they're dictators. They tell you that they are. Paul Biya is 83. What are you, 83 is standing still for president? Then you have Museveni now, has started sending his son around instead of him grooming his son to take over. You know, when they had a meeting in Rwanda last week, Museveni of Uganda sent his son. He didn't go himself, you know, and now his son is, you know, being groomed to be his successor. They all take it as if it's a kind of royal family where you hand over the presidency to your son, and we've seen it in several African countries.
But in that case, I think I blame the people living in the country, the security, the civilians. I blame them. This country doesn't belong to anybody's father. I mean, no one's father. It belongs to all of us.
But I think we should make it clear also, the president has made it very clear that the military wasn't involved.
That's right.
In this coup attempt.
He's been, in fact, he's praised the military for defending.
That's a good sign,
yes,
that the military wasn't involved. But where does this leave Bissau as far as the issue of armed control is concerned?
That's the biggest thing, because you see, there is so much money being made from drugs that the ones who benefit from it, and it's the same as any country where this kind of thing happens. You had it in Sierra Leone during the Civil War. Imagine, in its history, Sierra Leone's army had never even had so much as a helicopter, okay? And yet when the rebels took over the cocoa and coffee planting area and the diamond mining area, they were able to hire Russian pilots with helicopter gunships. We'd never seen them before because they make so much money.
Yes.
And so the people who make money, for them, they would always want that instability to carry on, because that's how they fund themselves, you know, through these illicit means. So it's a really, really, and of course, arms come in, and if somebody in the army is in collusion with these drug dealers, and he is the one who has a relative who's at the port who is meant to check that guns aren't coming in, that person is going to look the other way because he knows it's coming for his cousin or his uncle and so on. And so there are a lot of arms in Guinea-Bissau, more than in any of the other countries in our sub-region, really. And because of that, you'll always get this kind of instability. Because
and finally, before we move to the next story, as we speak, the ECOWAS leaders are meeting in Accra at the moment to discuss about this issue. Of course, the summit was convened to discuss on Burkina Faso, and all of a sudden the issue of Guinea-Bissau also came up.
That's right.
What are you expecting the outcome? Anything different from the usual condemnation and sanctions?
No, I mean, and that's been the criticism of, you know, I'm one of those critics, and sometimes I feel sad about criticizing ECOWAS. In a way, it's not their fault, but it's all they can do. You know, when they talked about sanctioning Mali and saying all the countries around that have a border with Mali should close their borders, the very next day, and they said it was unanimous. They said it was unanimous. The very next day, the Guineans, who of course themselves have a military regime, said we are not closing the border because the ordinary people will suffer. So they will make all these statements, they will make all these pronouncements, but I think they need to find a way to talk to these people and say, look, you know, this is the reality we're dealing with, not to say we're going to issue sanctions, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Because people just dismiss it. I mean, ECOWAS is a toothless bulldog. Yeah, Cape Verde arrested this guy, Alex Saab. Yeah. The United States put out a petition 2 days after the guy had been arrested. That's illegal. You can't issue an arrest warrant for somebody after they had been arrested and then say that's the warrant that we're going to use to get him extradited. They took the case to the ECOWAS court. The ECOWAS court ruled against Cape Verde. Cape Verde just dismissed it, and 3 days later they sent the guy to United States. He's there now awaiting trial. So ECOWAS is, you know, they need to dismantle the whole thing because nobody's taking them seriously.
They are a toothless bulldog. You mentioned it right.
Exactly. And now let's look at this sports story. Government referee to officiate the Cameroon-Egypt game. I know you have been following it. I mean, at some point, Egypt protested against having Papa Gassama to officiate that game with Cameroon.
For me, this is disgraceful, that kind of thing. He's one of the most respected referees in the world. Never mind in AFCON, Africa, blah, blah, blah. In the world. Kiros, of course, the Egyptian coach, he learned his mind games under Sir Alex Ferguson when he was Alex Ferguson's deputy at Manchester United. This is about mind games. You want to influence the referee before the game. You know that CAF, etc., are not going to change a referee just because you object. Because if they did that, what do you think the other team are going to say?
Exactly.
That you've succumbed to pressure. They want to put pressure on him before the match because, of course, they are playing the hosts.
As you said, it's a mind game.
It's mind game.
He might be saying, okay, as far as they're saying this, let me be careful. Let me take my time. Otherwise, this will be...
You know, he will come to a point where he might have to send off an Egyptian player.
And he'll be...
And he'll be thinking, if I do this, the coach... will say, you see, I was right. You know, and that's what they're trying to do. He just needs to, he's experienced enough to just bat it away. But it's a disgraceful distraction by Kiros. And, you know, a man of his stature ought to know better and ought to behave better. But he's also been complaining about other things. He's complaining about Samuel Eto'o describing the game as war. He said football should be about celebration. Mr. Queiroz, wake up and smell the coffee. You're fighting to get into the final of AFCON. It's not about celebration. It is a war. I don't care what you say. Don't dress it up. We're not stupid. This is not a group game. This is to get into the final. And if they get to the final, they have a chance to extend their record, Egypt. They've won AFCON 7 times. The closest are the people you have to beat. Cameroon, they've won it 5 times. So if you beat Cameroon, you're going for a chance to win it for an 8th time and extend your record of being African champions. It's not celebration, it is war. He needs to
definitely.
He needs to know that.
All right,
what do you have on
let's look at our heritage now. VP Toure and others witnessed breathtaking celebration of Janjambure Kankuram Festival. I can remember yesterday we were discussing with
I'm
Lolly.
glad you brought it up, because if you hadn't, I would. Carry on.
We discussed with Lolly. Lolly insisted that, Makati is the place to be.
I started the conversation.
You started the conversation. I said to Lolly, Makati is dead. Makati is no more. The things that we used to have there, they are no more there. So don't try to polish it nice. We all know the things that are happening there.
And that led us to talk about heritage tourism and so on. And I mentioned Sierra Leone, I mentioned Cape Verde, where there's a place in Cape Verde called Cidade Velha, which just means old city. It's the oldest town built in outside of Europe by Europeans, and it was built by the Portuguese. And because of that, it has World Heritage status, UNESCO officially. And if you gave Makati World Heritage status, it comes with money to improve facilities, to upkeep them and so on. And you were right, because when I spoke to other people, they said it's dilapidated, it's run out, it's been neglected. But we can't say we want people to visit this place and then it's in a state of neglect. Then we're not serious about getting people to, the Cape Verde Carnival in February, which they've cancelled, by the way, although I hear Guinea-Bissau one, which is at the same time, is going ahead. That one, in Mindelo alone, imagine Mindelo has a population of 80,000. When Carnival is on, for those 3-4 days of Carnival, the population swells to 150, 160,000 visitors from all over the world. I've been one of them, so I know what it's like. That's what you can do, because they have made it a fantastic celebration that people want to be there to see. I even read an article this week which was saying that why go to Rio in Brazil when you can go to Cape Verde for the Carnival? That's what we need to do. That's what we need to bring. But so I do take your point that we have allowed it to fall into disrepair and dilapidation. And then we can't expect people to come along and say, there's nothing there to see, as you said. Because somebody who was a Janjamburian felt offended that somebody said, but that was the bitter truth.
That's the truth.
And don't you think it's also high time, like you say, Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau, we also start having our national carnival, where you bring all these cultural to display them, because it seems like now every community is organizing their own cultural festival and all that. Imagine having a national one.
Well, this is it, and that's what they have in Bissau, and honestly, the Bissau one is almost as good as, for me, it's not as good as, or even though I haven't been there, I've seen videos for the last 10 years. I've been following the videos, and so Cape Verde one I've been to, so I know what it's like. But you're right. This is something that the whole country embraces, and it is a stupendous sight. If anybody doesn't believe me, just go on YouTube. Just type in Cape Verde Carnival Mindelo, or you type Guinea-Bissau Carnival Bissau. You will see something that will delight you. You're right. We need to bring these things. We have hunting and all these things. For me, that is on a par with, what happens in Cape Verde. The carnival is always done 40 days before Easter, because it's linked to the kind of Easter celebration for Christians. But everybody embraces it in these countries, and because government puts a lot of money into it, then that is thing. You go on the Cape Verde tourism board website, it's there. That's one of the prime things that they encourage people to come and view, and that's what we need to be doing. And by the way, whilst I'm on here, I will abuse this opportunity and mention that our GT board needs to get a website.
Exactly.
You can't be
GT
serious.
board.
You can't be serious about
Vijay,
promoting.
No, for me,
promoting tourism in the Gambia, and you don't have a website. I'm sorry.
And also, Vijay is the host of the Smiling Coast.
I feel very ashamed. No, honestly, I feel very ashamed when the last time Mr. Ade asked me, What's the website?
I asked him, what's the website address? And he was like,
I was like, what?
And then I thought, no, they must have a website. They don't.
Yeah. So I have a problem because anything that have to do with GTBot, I am associated, and it's true. So we have to buckle up. At least we have to be on the game, man.
Yeah, it's important, especially social media. You should be active. I mean, anything that's happening should be there. But unfortunately, that's something which we are still lacking. Most of these ministries, even if you go to their social media platform, it's dull.
I mean, most of them, their websites.
Some of them, last time they posted was last year.
I mean, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because Ministry of Justice, the last time they posted was in June 2020.
And that's the Justice Ministry.
That's the Ministry of Justice, yes. And you know, they can sue me.
You have the social media, you have the Facebook. I mean,
yeah, come on. You know, a lot of them have active Facebook pages, but not active websites. For most people, they're not going to go and look for your Facebook profile. Exactly. They're going to look for a website. And we can't be saying that tourism matters to us, it's important to the country, and then our tourism board doesn't have a website. That's beyond a joke, honestly.
Well, I think those people responsible for tourism in this country, they have to be more serious. When you look at certain things in this country, I keep complaining. The last time I went to Abuko Nature Reserve, I was very disappointed. I mean, you cannot tell a tourist to come to the Gambia. We have a lot to offer. And you tell him, go to Abuko Nature Reserve, or there's nothing to see.
Look at vultures.
What do you see there?
All you have is baboon. I was there with Teres the
old
other
hyena,
time. All that we
old
see.
hyenas.
With who? Teres. She was there with me. I think the other Gambian.
You mean Teres who's too glam to give a damn? That
we were together. But all that you see, how can you bring me to see an owl?
Owl. Well, you might not see an owl anywhere else.
Baboon.
Why not?
Baboon.
Where else are you going to see a baboon? You should thank them for it. You should thank them. But back to the newspapers, or have we run out of time?
It's getting interesting in the studio. Someone said they rated Talib Bensouda's performance 2%.
You know, that's when somebody, you know, there's a phrase, sour grapes. This is somebody who ran against him the last time and didn't win. And he's going to run again. And, you know, Mr. Mboj famously quoted a famous quote which says, when you're in opposition, all you have to move are your lips. You can say anything. If I was in office, I would have done this, I would have done that. What's interesting is that that person says, I'm rating him 2%. For most people, Talib has been one of the most progressive mayors in this country. Albeit there have been all these, you know, things swirling around about him. But you speak to people in Kanifing, he's very popular, they like him, and they see that he's trying to make a difference. I mean, I have beef with him because since I came here in 2019, I've been telling him, I said, Talib, if you do nothing else, through his PRO, I said, if he does nothing else, he leaves office and every street in Kanifing has been given a name and every house in Kanifing has a house number. I'm not talking about Google Plus codes, I'm talking about street names. I said, if that is your legacy, they will remember you 1,000 years after you're dead. You know, because it matters. We've been here, we've talked about ambulances not finding places, fire engines not finding places, because by the time somebody has directed them to the right burned down container or the right fuller shop or the
Come
right...
to the big tree.
The big tree.
Turn your left.
It's turn left and so on. We did, in 1 month, we did 3 stories where we weren't even pushing anybody. It was the residents who said that we spent so long trying to direct the fire services to this place. By the time they got here, it was burnt. Get it done.
Recently, I've seen something in this country which I don't understand. I mean, I've seen tags on people's gate.
That's what I'm talking about, Google Plus codes.
Yes, but people are not aware. They don't know these things.
They need to come on here.
But at some point, I understand some people were even removing it.
Yes,
in fact, I asked someone, she was sitting just near that thing. I told her, what's this? She said, these people, they just came and put this. I don't
And you know,
know,
Google Plus codes will never be a substitute for an address, really. I mean, all they are is that for the tax, either your local tax or your personal taxes, they can say, okay, the person who lives at this, you know, this, that's fine. But that's not what an address should be. It shouldn't just be, I should be able to stand at a street corner and say to you, Bale, where do you live? And you say, oh, I live at number 15 Aliu Cisse Street. You turn right at Momodou Mboj Street and so on. I should be able to direct you that, standing on a street corner. Well, I said to them when I spoke to the KMC people when they were doing this, I said, if I'm 2 children, we're 8 years old, and I said to the other child, you know, I want to come over to your house, you know, spend the weekend because we're friends. What are you going to tell me? Oh, here's my Google Plus code? No, I live at, veteran journalist street. You know, they need to be able to do this thing. So it's a social thing. But also, if you do that, you can also have people deliver letters to people. You know, we can revive our postal service.
Absolutely.
And employ thousands of people.
Definitely. It's like I know it's done with the VJ thing. Huh? I like that. So, what do we have again? Do we have any other thing? Time Jehna. Someone is whispering time Jehna.
Indeed.
All right, thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Mr. Ade, for having you here. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, it's good to have you here always.
I'm always resentful when you don't invite me. So
definitely. Well, viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll go to social issues straight, and we have Ibrahima Sohna, a player. And of course, we'll be discussing a few things. Be reminded this program is officially sponsored by One Stop Water Solutions. Gone were the days where you drink well water or, unfiltered water. Now you deal with bottled water.
I don't think you give, I hope you will give Mr. Sohna a really big up when he comes, because listen, we're talking about a Scorpions player, and we know how they lifted our spirits.
Definitely.
And made us all proud. So, I hope you give him a serious big up when he's coming on.
Well, I think there's a whole lot of things to use when it comes to the Scorpions. They made us proud.
Indeed.
So we'll take a short break. We'll be back.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q Power. I am QCell. I am Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
We are back again, and of course this is QTV's This Morning. I am Ibrahima Balde. I'm joined by my colleague Aliou Cisse, and of course this program is sponsored by One Stop Water Solutions for all your water dispensers, and of course filters. They are located at Sukuta Jabang traffic lights. Now we'll go straight to social issues, and we have Ibrahima Sohna in the studio with us, a senior player. Ibrahima Sohna is a household name in the Gambia. When you talk about Ibrahima Sohna, all that people think about is sports, football. Yeah, that's like the mental picture you have.
He's one of the key and senior players in the Scorpions squad. I mean, he's played for the country from the under-17, under-20, coming to the senior national team. I mean, for me, he's one of those consistent players who has represented the country across all categories of the national team, and it's a pleasure to have you here. I mean, quite interesting outing for the Scorpions for the first time in the AFCON. I mean, going to the quarterfinal stages and being eliminated by the host country. I mean, looking back at the journey, what was your most memorable moment during the preliminaries coming to the qualifiers?
First of all, I have to say good morning to everyone, and thanks for having me. I'm always happy to be here. Well, I have to say, the journey was, it was not easy, And there's a lot of players, legends who have tried this, like 69 years, and I have to just say, it's not only we, like we the players who make the team qualify, and like for us who represent the Gambia in the AFCON, but we have to say it's everyone. I mean the ex-players and like Sidi Quintes and Omar Sy, the Obi Konates, So we just have to say, thanks to everyone, So we made it to the AFCON. I mean, so going to like the journey. I mean, like I say, it's a lot of up and down, and we make it through. So for me personally, I just have to say like thanks to the fans too. I have to say that because the fans, they contribute a lot, because without the fans too, we're not gonna reach where we are right now. So and the other thing too, like I have to add up, is like, because I will not forget the GFF and the government, because even we fight with them sometimes, and that's the life. I always say that. I mean, they have to demand a lot from us, we the players, to deliver. We the players too, we have to demand from them what we want. So it make it work. We have the success. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is not the first time this comes after what has been several attempts as far as qualifying for the AFCON is concerned. But after we eliminated Djibouti and progressed to the group stage of the qualifiers, I mean, did you at any point felt like this was a real time that Gambia must qualify, having the likes of Gabon, Angola, DR Congo in the same group?
Well, for me, to be honest, I know it was not easy even before those games, but I have the feeling long time ago, even before that. But even with the coach, I remember when he was inviting me against Algeria, because before that I was not called for a while, yeah. And then he called me and then say, hey, Ibrahim, I would love to have you back again, and I know we can make history together. And he said, I believe that. And for me, my reply, I said, Coach, I have the same feeling that this is the time we can make it to the AFCON. He said, this is why I want you back. So I think we can work together. So I have that feeling long time ago. This is our time, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah.
I mean, you talk to many people, they describe you as a fighter, as somebody who is a go-getter. When you're on the pitch, you give it all. I mean, what is the reason behind this?
Well, for me, naturally, I'm like that since when I was a kid, I believe, like, if you want to make it, you have to be hungry. And if you have a chance in anything, in any work you're doing, give it all if you want to be successful. So if you don't give it all, you're just going to be in between. You understand? You're not going to make it, or you're going to lose. You understand? So for me, and there's another thing which motivates me a lot, because sometimes when I look at my background, where I start with my, family and stuff, it motivates me a lot, because I always say, hey, I want to move my family where they are right now. You understand? I think 90% or 95% of footballers in Gambia, we are from poor family. We have to accept that. You understand what I mean? So for me, that motivates me a lot when I'm going into the pitch. I say, this is where I'm going to feed my family. So that's why sometimes they say, oh, Ibrahim, don't get tired. I get tired. But it's always in my head that this is where I'm going to make something to feed my family. Yeah.
Okay, Ibrahim, let me take you through. I can see football is your thing. I mean, you love it. And you have what we call, is it the Sohna Sports something? I follow it on...
The Sohna Sports.
I follow it on Facebook. Tell us how you started as a kid growing up to take up football as a career. Yes.
Well,
growing
up in Dipakunda, I mean, the places like growing up, I mean,
Gambia or Africa itself, like like play street football, and then them school teams, then go for nawetan. So nawetan, then you can be lucky young to a club for trials or clubs in you get la through nawetan or school games in the so jarna si yoy yep ay warga ak play ak suñ xam nga empty tool empty lifin amuñ daal.
sometimes nga kick hair sax.
loolu laa wax nii ba pare yeneen yi nga am maa ngi remember like nga amoon amay ñamba yu weex yooyu.
waaw
dafa dem ba dog sa jëlaat sa. jëlaat sa own paaka sa xam nga. so yooyu yëpp jaar naa si ñu I know like.
waaye maa ngi dégg ñu ne. Bakoteh yaa fa toj. loolu moom dégg naa ko ñu ne i soxna fiil bi Bakoteh moo fa toj.
Bakoteh moom suma fiil la that's true that waaw boobu moom dégg la because Bakoteh laa defee yëpp you know that fiil
so ban mooy woon sa nawetaan team in Dipakunda.
play na Pencha play na Jarrington ñaari team yooyu laa play si nawetaan
what about DK.
DK no man time bu ma doon fi DK amutoon no DK amutoon Pencha la ak Jarrington si ñaari team yooyu laa play so ñaari team yooyu tam was lucky ba pare ñëpp laa winal a cup
well because soo ko xoolee ñu bari ne dañ la dee wax ne like soo nekkee ndoo di play football at some point sa family bi duñ la dee support dañ dee prefer ngay dem school yow bi nga doon door sa diggante ak sa family bi how was it like naka la meloon mbaa doo daa ñëpp si sa gars yi la dóor la moo tax nga dem play ji football ak yooyu
I think ñun ku nekk am na that problem you know comme nga bala ngay dem sax di play si field bi sax maybe wax nañ la nga def dara defuloo ko nga dëgër bopp rek dem play loolu I think ne ñun yëpp xam nga players yëpp jaar nañ si loolu nga ñëw sax ñu ne duñ la jox le añ ak yooyu understand mooy ñu ne lekk bi
waaw man sax dégg naa ñu ne Ibrahima Soxna maamam I think maamam ñu ne dafa miiti woon
suma maam am nga is a Sierra Leonean ok dañ nekk koo xam ne like nga ko miiti sax but they are very strict si loo nekk ak yooyu et pare even ñun góor sax like comme da nga am pour bale you have to clean nañ laa jox programme boo xam ne lii nga war a def after school balaa school lii ngay def you know ak comme fóotal sa boppa ak even tooga sax you know suma friton yan la tam am nga loolu so tam nañ la ñëw sax hey kaay nga xooleel ma lii kaay nga defal ma lii and loolu daf ma help a lot like bu ma demee professional so bu ma demee dama just ñëw rek xam nga bokk ak yooyu because then I was already ready in my head and everything because so mën nañoo dem struggle si loolu
exactly xam nga moo tax ay growing up as a child comme nga grow under African parents daf la dee tax nga mun a xam yeneen yi di nga gis man tam I have a similar thing man time boobu noonu raxas bool kër bi yëpp man nañ ko xamee dama dee raxas so loolu dimbale na ma trop I cannot cook moom du ma ko dee def waaye dama dee mun a raxas soo ma joxee bool dama ko raxas
ok waaye after bi nga bàyyi domestic league football Gambia you when nga dem professional I mean sa first contract bi naka la demee woon
well I think lifin la woon nañ mooy African Cup of Nations bi fii then si la agents yooyu ñëw England la gaay jógee woon so after tournament bi rek then si lañ ma approach ñun 3 lañ approach on man no the first mana Modou Cissé la woon Zik then ñun lañ njëkk a approach ñooñu then after si la gaay add up Ous Diallo waaw so gaay wax ñun gaay ne ñun dafa am teams ñu yónnee fii pour ñu scoutal leen players wante position yi la gaay nekkati ut so gaay toog ak ñun explain ñu so then it was like ñooñu ñu ngi jóge woon from Chelsea ñoo leen yónnee woon but they are like Ghanaian xam nga British lañ because xam nga always nañ di am African people yu leen a represent in Africa pour scoutal lañ so mu ñu ñun Chelsea moo ñu yónnee daal so wante ñun yéen leen scout pour ngay mun a ñëw dem train for 1 or 2 weeks understand nga so loolu mooy woon the first lifin buñ amoon so then after tournament bi den xam nga ñoo ko winoon den ñu war a dem si World Cup bi but World Cup bi tam ñu ngi doon dem England pour training camp
mu nekk Peru bi
waaw ñu ngi doon dem war na dem England play def training camp play games soog a dem so that time late Omar Sy mooy woon the president that time so then ñu ngi woon onda so then dafa am ku ñu war a na compagnie yoon pour ànd ak ñun so nañ def training camp bi then after boy si jiitu ñun ñetta yëpp ñu des in England ak late Omar Sy so si lañ train on ak gars yi 1 week so buñ trainer gars yi 1 week then gars yi ne ñun we are satisfied and bëgg nañ lañ and léegi dinañ jël the next step naka la leen na mun a am pour ngeen bokk suñ xam nga youth système bi ak yooyu so noonu la foofu la affaire si starté nag ñun suñ carrière
and then after being fa jógee like ban moo nekkoon sa first club
then after bu loolu lefine break bu mu amee breakdown loolu yëpp si négociation la woon ak comme ay nit bi demut nu mu war a demee loolu football la ak yooyu then after ñoom ñu ngi amoon like Grant Williams may one saying chief scout at that time. So but then I won't be the teams in Norway, in Belgium ak yooyu so nañ ñu njëkkoon a yóbbu woon Belgium with Westerlo mana zik ñoo demoon nañ Westerlo nekk fa trainer gaay ñooñu tam ñu ne bëgg nañ ñoo képp ak yooyu they are happy but then boobu tam demutoon through football noonu la yaa ngi jong ak yooyu so through negotiation bi demut through then it was fine ñu jël ko in a good faith so man si laa dem Norway si la ma gaay li fi naan in Norway so Norway foofu laa dem nag then after everything dem nu mu war a demee then si laa sign with Norway 2.5 then I remember then buma signed it 2.5 ma play 5 games then guy oyat ma guy ne ma nañ bëgg a change contract bi guy def ko ci la ma guy jox another 2 years ci kaw loolu muy 4 years because guy nañ ma bëggoon a keep on then guy change yëpp lu ma guy offoon ak yooyu that helped me though that stage must start they make something like expect to for one.
Now looking at your professional career, you've played in Norway, at some point you've played in Kuwait, ak dëkk yu bari. Lan nga jàngat si jaar-jaar boobu as a professional player di nekk di play in different leagues?
jàng naa lu bëri because xam nga culture si duñ benn xam nga fu dëkk boo dem rek am na loo xam ne di nga ko fa jëlee you know it make you even you know more professional you know more confidence tam ak yooyu so ok dem naa nu xam naa ne ok ligue bi nii la mel ak seen culture bi nii la ma dem jóge foofu dem Finland nii la understand ma mi jóge foofu dem naa Azerbaijan so dem naa culture yu bëri dem naa xam nga Russian side bi dem naa si naar side bi ak yooyu so culture si dañ different so lu nekk dëkk boo dem rek am na loo lay jàng so loolu yëpp maa ngi ko am suma biir so léegi comme niñ ko waxee rek nag di àgga ba stage boo xam ne di nga xam ne time bi xam nga da nga war a just let go then loolu yëpp dinaa ko use si young generation bi ñëw dimbale and maa ngi ko def like 4 years ago boo xam ne mun naa gis a young player boo xam ne mu ngi si benn dëkk boo xam ne mu ngi struggle am day jël suma phone bi try am number o bind ko even si maybe social media any Facebook or Instagram waxtaan ak gars yi joo leen xam nga advice ak yooyu.
waaw xam naa benn player te xam naa benn scene jarul pour ñu wax ko fii nii. waaye man witness naa loolu xam naa lu mu nekk di wax nii. but then soo ko xoolee léegi I mean from that generation 2005 under 17 bi I mean mun naa am léegi yow la ak Ndaa if I'm right ñu ne ba léegi yéen a ngi si team bi xam nga bokk si team bi nga xam ne moo demoon Cameroon yow soo fàttaliku sa nga bokkaloon team back in 2005 am nga only few of you are still the under national team to this stage I mean noo ko jàngatee.
yeah dëgg la mën a Ndaa la ñoo nekk foofu ba up till now easy nag to be honest pour nga consistent ak nga because di nga dem through see a lot of fight you know it's 18 years from 18 years yaa ngi still be up till now so easy so loolu tax young players yi loolu tax nam leen di wax ne like nowadays ok da nga gis young players yu bëri dañoo foog ne everything is ready made so started to play ñu coow la rek so you think it's gonna be the same no if you wanna be there for so long da nga war a nangu ñu criticize la da nga war a nangu so many things yoo xam ne like yow expect loo ko sax and you have to be strong in your head understand nga so pour Ndaa ak yeneen players sax xam nga ñeneen ñi tam nekkul ne they are not consistent but they are just not lucky understand am na yeneen players
so that means luck tam bokk na si
yeah of course because luck bi tam bokk na si more like injuries understand what I mean or to have another team because am na players yoo xam ne tam lu tax ñu génn quickly si system bi mooy mun nga am like a hard time right now ne okay maybe yaa ngi jóge si injury sign law contract xam nga yaa ngi toog maybe 3-4 months loolu rek daf la dee mun a bàyyiloo ne maa ngi am benn 5 million 10 million bàyyi ma def lii rek xam nga ma bàyyi football xam nga foofu leen different ne so man suma maas yi maa ngi nekk ko am ne dama stubborn dama téye na suma setee suma goal lii na maa ne lii foog ma achieve ko ma jola like example ma ne ok achieve naa lu nekk si all category wante si AFCON na ma bëgg a dem AFCON balaa may stop playing football loolu maa ngi ko def suma boppa bi set ko up so loolu tax na nga gis ne am na yenn fight yi sax nga gis ñu laa comme nga gis against fale ak yooyu but you see it like is a little loo xam ne against loolu du ñaaka but loolu dafa fekk maa ngi set up suma head bi already so loolu laa def ba achieve nekk si AFCON bi ak yooyu xam nga lu ma mel so kaini lala wa
yeah hamna chobi halona bari tom be mu release his final squad wala dem afcon aman chatur bangi fa ndo nda turam bangi fa amna ño xamne feeling exactly wa ñom toldo ñu bari commencé di question la mota sona muy fa la mota nda ñu ngi fa ñi ay play yu magat liñ ak yoonu yen c'est hala at that point did that in any way demoralize sen you know this in pare pour dem representer
no man personally la because man waxal suma bop man personally yoy la de love lol motam my success up to now. I love those kind of things. I love those kind of challenge, you understand? Always I'm going to make something like ñu nekk fele ñu am ne li sula dale don't let go. And I have a lot of message from people, like young people. I say, oh man, you are my role model. Man, li moy challenge you am ne nit ki so bëggee success, you have to accept that. So man lolu daf ma dina nga motivate pour bon la and my whole career noonu la time bu ma nit de question mark time boobu laa de ñëw ñu gis
nga prove leen wrong.
Yeah, because man muna fatali kono I've interviewed him on several times. I mean several interviews man ak yow, and the issue of AFCON participation has been something that they emphasize that lore mo nek sa target as a footballer da nga gis ne Gambia qualified to the AFCON te nga bokk ci team bo xamne yéena dem pour représenter Gambia, and for the first time comme ko waxe rek ngeen dem def lo xamne xam nga dafa jomal aduna bi yépp xam nga a country like the Gambia. Legi what next for Ibrahima Sona? Ñu bari ñu nga okay mën na bi mën ka sen last AFCON. Is that the case, or you are still available to play in the next AFCON?
No, to be honest, like my work of you, like man right now in the national team, no, Pat Bumai them play right now. It's not even playing anymore, to be honest. Right now, I'm just gonna hang my boot in national team.
You have to achieve your target.
Really, it's my target. And then the other thing, more like, even more than them, there's a lot of young kids who have, to be honest, they are ready. Man coach bi mom sa won nako mo ne bena bezi nako won niti pour ñu understand nakut ne time bo like so many occasions you am daf mo de mo ne ko no coach, that kid he's ready, give him the chance, but you cannot go out to explain it to everyone who are complaining or who are against it. So many times somebody no I'm not going, coach, that kid he have to play, he's ready. But then the flag jox ñeneen chance nakut ne they don't perform, but then the level of qualifying round, okay, they play too much. Honestly, they are not ready that time. But they are not like a good player. So look at the whole qualifying round. None of them they won. But people don't know. Me da okay. That's I'm several times. So I'm the one time they play when the coach no. Be do them. But then the coach you need that time, so experience. Yeah. But people don't know. You know, I'm going to watch football and to understand football and to know football is different.
Why man? I think.
You understand?
Ibrahima Sona is a fine player. Society contribution. You